I'm in Chicago, and this is the beautiful river shoreline. It's really spectacular. This is the Trump Tower, one of the iconic towers. So, say hello to Mr. Trump. And yeah, the beautiful neoclassical and Renaissance, whatever architecture styles, the beautiful European style architecture buildings, and all these buildings, iconic, really iconic. And then you have the Chicago Tribune, which is one of the main newspapers. And yeah, you see the amazing riverfront, and the old engineering, and those bridges, and the old engineering bridges, which reminds us of things like Eiffel Tower, those iron, wrought iron things, and then the spectacular row of buildings. Really here. So beautiful. It's really amazingly beautiful.
Uh,
Boat cruise towards Chicago River, the iconic river with the bridges, and now you see the Trump Tower. And Chicago has been the home of skyscrapers because the Som, which is the architect for the Burj Khalifa, is based out here. So this is a spectacular Chicago on the Chicago River. Trump Tower in Chicago. These buildings, they consist of both modern buildings and neoclassical or European style architecture buildings. And Chicago has been home to the kind of the skyscraper revolution because Skidmore, Robinson Merrill, which is a designer and architect of Burj Khalifa, is also based from here. It's an iconic place. I mean, we see the river tour was very iconic and very good. I mean, then we saw a lot of skyscrapers, and then amazing thing is some were built over rail tracks, some had, the water things, and, this Chicago River permanently flows backward. So it's all this is like, really an architectural wonder of the world.
Looking
I'm in Chicago, and we see the iconic Chicago River, the river line, and I see the Boeing headquarters as well. In my previous career, we used to deliver software solutions and mobile apps for airports, airlines, and aircraft, and so aviation industry, so to speak. It's so iconic to see the Boeing headquarters. Of course, Boeing has its plants in Seattle and Charleston, South Carolina, and also the iconic riverfront, and the iconic Union Station, and it's good to see. I mean, Chicago is the home of the skyscrapers, and then the designer and architect of Burj Khalifa is also from Chicago, Skidmore, Soviets and Merrill. So it's an iconic place on earth, and yeah, it's really spectacular. I mean, it's really cold, but still, yeah, so exciting to be looking at these buildings. I'm in Chicago, and this is the iconic Willis Tower, one of the skyscrapers in the city. Yesterday, I had been over this deck, and there is something known as a ledge in which, you just, you are offset of and it's a glass bottom, and it's really scary. They say it's 1.5 inches thick or something. I just stood on that. It was really scary. You're just standing there. And this is the iconic Chicago skyline, with a lot of skyscrapers. It's, I think, called the home of skyscrapers or something, because the architect of Burj Khalifa, Skidmore, Soviets and Merrill, is also from Chicago. So yeah, it's a lot of skyscrapers, and also I did a river tour. It was fantastic and amazing. Yeah. I mean, Chicago and the iconic Chicago skyline. Chicago is famous for skyscrapers. They probably call it the original skyscraper capital or something. Even the architect designed of Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on earth, is from Chicago as well. And then we see this the riverfront. I'll be doing a tour later. It's spectacular again. And then this is for something known as the Navy Pier. There's a big giant wheel, and yesterday I've done that. And Children's Museum, and there was one this spectacular seeing flying over Chicago, something like that, and it was spectacular. Actually, it scared me a bit, but yeah, this is amazing Chicago, and yeah, it's really beautiful. It's wintry, yeah, the whole one. I'm in Chicago, and this is the Navy Pier and the big Ferris wheel, and the great town of the city of Chicago. Navy Pier. I've been through it. It is a spectacular view of the city skyline, and there we see the city skyline of Chicago. Chicago is known for the tall buildings, like the design of architect of Burj Khalifa, SOM architects is also from Chicago. So yeah, it's the huge skyline, and there is the Chicago River that permanently flows backwards, and the magnificent Chicago. This is Chicago, and this is the iconic loop in the Chicago. This is very iconic because I've been dying to see this for many years or decades. And we see the spectacular Chicago skyline, and how old this is. I mean, this kind of really fascinating. Much of the part is made of wood, and the iron, the old, kind of the Eiffel Tower kind of vibes, right? Those kind of, I don't know what they call, wrought iron or something. And the old, the ticket office, and everything is really, I don't know how to call it, nostalgic, iconic. Yeah. This is the iconic Chicago loop, and the train is coming. It loops, and then there are some separate spectacular view. That's a tower, CS tower, right?
Yep.
One of them, yeah. I have to go. What has a glass bottle? Oh man, it's truly spectacular.
She used to live down here about 4 years. She got 2 months.
Here's the rail. Chicago and this kind of great skyscrapers in Chicago. Chicago is often called as probably the birthplace of skyscrapers or something, because many of the skyscrapers were including the design of Burj Khalifa, the tallest building or structure on earth. It was in Chicago. Students of Vincent Medal, so they're behind many other iconic projects as well. So yeah, the skyscrapers. Formal definition of a skyscraper, I think, is about 150 meters or taller. Taller than that. So we're walking from the Navy Pier to the Michigan Avenue to see the boat, to Chicago to the boat. So really spectacular. I don't know how they really construct these Manhattan type places. I don't know, it's really amazing. Every time I see these high-rise buildings or Manhattan type spaces, I don't know how they really build it. Same is the pattern that they follow in China, Singapore, Korea, Japan, everywhere. AMC Theatre in town because it's near the downtown, so the best IMAX and so on in Chicago. I'm guessing there's a Dolby Cinema also.
But I really feel
Dolby Cinema is almost, if not, but close competitor to IMAX. It's not as splendid and spectacular, but still Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. We're moving towards the Michigan Avenue. Iconic kind of center point. 10 minutes, yeah. Today is really hazy, but now it's not just started to clear up. Otherwise, these skyscrapers are so beautiful. And some of them in between with these European style architectures, neoclassical, Renaissance, and so on. And they're really baroque. All these European style, architecture style buildings are so spectacular, really. It's the famous iconic Trump Tower in Chicago. And yeah, these European architecture buildings in the middle. The clock tower. Clock tower is really spectacular. I love this Venice style towers. Spectacular. This is downtown Chicago, the center of Chicago, the main, the tall building center of downtown. That's the iconic Trump Tower, the tall one, glass building. This is the CNBC building. Showing the CNBC logo. CNBC is a business channel, so maybe it's headquarters or something. Morning, I saw the Boeing headquarters building. Swiss Hotel. Tribune Tower. There's a bridge also in the old European building with the clock tower building on the next building. Love these European style buildings. I don't know how they sculpt those things. In between there are sculptures. I don't know how they paint and sculpt those things. They're so beautiful. Chicago Tribune and Ice Cream Museum. I don't know. Probably they store and freeze some kind of ice creams or something. Fuel bar. This is really beautiful. I mean, just really look at the building, the clock tower building here. That is Trump Tower from the top. This is a clock tower building. It must be a government building generally. Yeah, super. It's really amazing. Spectacular building. And there's a bridge also in between. Yeah, here is a bridge. So, Trump Tower and then this clock tower building. Iconic European architecture clock tower building. And this is also in European architecture. The different styles like neoclassical, Renaissance, Baroque and so on. But see the spectacular balconies here in this. I don't know how they make it. Any sculpture, architecture, design, I don't know. Modern buildings as well as, these European, you see the spectacular skyline. Amazing. This is, kind of the center of the downtown in a way, you can call it Michigan Avenue. So you see skyscrapers all around. Right. So beautiful. The old bridges, and this is the Chicago River. It permanently flows backwards. Actually, that's what I got it. It's an engineering marvel. Again, this is Apple store in Chicago. Apple usually have these iconic storefronts. I think in Singapore they kind of a bit of extend it into waterfront or something. So Apple has this, usually the desks, the same kind of desks, and this is Apple store within the Chicago riverfront. Really spectacular, amazing. The Trump Tower and the clock tower building. So beautiful, dude. This is the iconic Chicago riverfront. This river permanently flows backwards, they were saying. This is called the DuSable Bridge, Michigan Avenue. Then this is This is a river, and just we are inside of the river, so it's like going to the boat. These are the buildings on the side of the river. So beautiful. Iconic river from here. See Chicago, the skyscrapers in the night. Dusk. It's very good. This is the Chicago River. This is the Maze Contour. This is how a Chicago bridge looks like. So I just touched this. So one of the bridges, I'm walking through one of the bridges, or over one of the bridges, and this is how the water looks like at night. The Chicago River front. Spectacularly beautiful.
Oh, not yet. Sorry. Right.
Yes. This is the Chicago, and this is the Chicago River, and I'm standing on one of those bridges. This is like the iron bridges in the 19th century. So it gives like the Eiffel Tower kind of vibe, with these rivets and all this stuff. And these are like, spectacular buildings. There is a Trump Tower just behind that, and that's the East Tower. And the Chicago River goes through. It's a spectacular river. I mean, you see the different colonial buildings. I mean, so the European architecture buildings like Renaissance, and so on. And this is the Maze Con kind of buildings, and these are all they're both the modern buildings as well as the old kind of classical buildings. It's really fantastic. I mean, this is. I'm on one of those bridges, the iconic bridges that we cross when you do the boat tour. So this iron, reminds us of the 19th century engineering. The rivets and the loop and everything is 19th century engineering. Unfortunately, today there is no show, so this is a spectacular Chicago.
Yeah.